everybody. Thanks for coming to our presentation today. My name is Nicole. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a junior in the public health field at Portland State, and I am a wildling, a wild intern.
My name is Christina. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a trip leader instructor at the outdoor program, and I'm getting my master's in social work at Portland State University. And I'm excited to be here today and share some of this stuff with y'all.
Yes, so excited.
All right, so today we're going to talk about spring hiking. Some of the things we're going to go over in this presentation are kind of day hikes, so different day hikes in the area. But we're actually going to start with gear, like what you want to bring with hikes. I'll talk a little bit about like getting to spaces and getting permits, and then go over day hikes and some overnight hikes if you're trying to do more backpacking. Chat a little bit about some wildflowers that you might be seeing this time of year on those trails. And then of course we'll cover like leave no trace at the end, and talk a little bit about like how to be safe with COVID on the trails, since that's the thing we're all living through right now.
So prepping for your day hike, gear that you might want to bring. We definitely need to pack something that we can place on our backs, be hands-free, something, you know, that has a little bit of support for yourself maybe would be preferable. We're going to bring a lot of water, about 500 mils per hour. So maybe a liter or two, depending on how long you want to plan for your hike. Long pants is preferable to like, you know, not have any ticks on you, not have any like bug bites, anything like that around your ankles, closed toe and comfortable shoes, snacks, all of the snacks, bring so many snacks, trail mix, bananas, you know, all of that. Hats, something to protect your skin from the sunshine, sunscreen, bug spray, and optional. I always like to bring like a little trash bag with me, or like a plastic bag that I just get from Safeway or something, and pick up some trash, any trash that I see along the trails. If anybody hasn't done a super great job of leaving no trace. And then some of the hikes that we're going to be suggesting have a little bit of uneven or loose terrain. So trekking poles might be something that you might want to help out on your hike. And because we live in the Pacific Northwest, it's going to probably rain at some weekend when we're planning on hiking. So hiking shoes or boots that are appropriate for mud, because sometimes it gets really muddy out there on the trails. Having an umbrella for all of us, you know, who don't want to get completely soaked. Layering with rain gear is really important. We have base layers and, you know, working up to our outer layers. And Ziploc or waterproof baggies is something that I typically like to bring on rainy hikes as well, to keep my wallet, electronics, anything like that waterproof and free from moisture. And because, as Christina mentioned, we are in COVID times, a lot of the trails are stating limited services. So that's probably, we're going to be prepared to be without bathrooms, water to fill up our water bottles, and garbage services. So we're going to make sure that we, any snacks that we bring, like the banana peel, we're going to pack it in and pack it out. So anything that we bring with us, we're going to throw away at home. A couple of sites to the side of the screen there is an All Trails site that a lot of hikers use around all over the country, and it's a really great site to be able to see like real-time comments around your hike. So you can type in Ramona Falls, and then you can see what the people have said regarding the Ramona Falls hike. So you're like, well, you know, Stephen, who hiked this yesterday, said that it was still covered in snow. So we know, you know, to do that. So we have all of our information here as well. We have road closures. It gives weather. It's a really great app and site to use. Thanks, Christina. And then the last thing I want to mention on this slide is going to be the equipment center or the gear rentals. That this is the site where you can come in for affordable rates to get those trekking poles that you might need, to get that rain gear that you might not have for those hikes that you want to do over the weekend or anytime you have a free break during classes. Next slide. Thanks, Christina.
All right, so I'm going to talk briefly just about like permits and transportation to trails, but I actually did another presentation a while back that goes like deep into detail of all the different passes and stuff you need. But basically, like there's some hikes where you register at the trailhead. If you're like doing overnight stuff, you'll say like how many people are in your party and how long you plan to be there, just so folks can like know that you're out there in case something were to happen. Some places you'll need like there's like state parks passes or the Northwest Forest Service pass, or like national parks passes are kind of the different passes that you might need. Some might still have you do like a $5 parking pass on other things, but between all of those things usually cover it. There's also a website, I think on all trails, that sometimes will say like what you might need for a trailhead. OregonHikers.com also mentions like what kind of passes or fees might exist at a trailhead for whatever hike you're going on. So just kind of do your research, make sure you have either some cash or those passes for whatever hike you're doing. And then, yeah, usually folks drive to these places, but if you don't have, that's not an option for you. Like this other presentation talks about like different bus routes that will get you to parks, different like car rentals or car share things that you can do, and different like carpool sites or things like that, maybe past COVID or once folks are vaccinated, that are options to like help you get to trailheads if you don't own a vehicle. There's also some things that are like bikeable from town. So definitely worth checking out that presentation at some point if you're curious about that, because it goes, yeah, way more into detail about different sites and resources for helping you figure that out.
So a couple of the day hikes that we chose, it's within 2 hours of driving from Portland State. So we have Dog Mountain here on the, the very side over here. Dog Mountain's probably going to be one of the most popular ones that we're talking about. It's also one of the best ones to do during spring. It's known for its meadows of wildflowers and gorgeous views of the Columbia Gorge. It's definitely a little bit more moderate to strenuous as a hike. But definitely very close to Portland. The Tail of 10 Falls, excuse me, is and also a really great hike to do in the springtime. It features 10 stunning waterfalls, rivers. This one is ADA accessible for some folks who use wheelchairs. It's an 8.7-mile loop, but goes, there's lots of different ways to get back to the beginning, the parking lot, without having to do the full loop. And then we have Neocani Mountain, which is a coastal hike. Again, lots of wildflowers in the springtime, gorgeous views of the ocean. This one is a little bit farther. It's almost 2 hours from Portland State, but is just gorgeous, so worth it.
I'll just add briefly that with Dog Mountain, you need to, there were like permits that were released already to go on a weekend, like April through June, because they had like way too much traffic with all the people there. But if you take the shuttle with them, you don't need to have a permit beforehand. I think they're also releasing permits for the weekend Thursday mornings. So keep an eye on the permit website. And if you just Google like Dog Mountain permits, you should get some stuff on that. And then the Trail of 10 Falls is a state park. So having a state parks pass or paying the fee for that is what you'll need to do.
Thank you. So helpful. Next slide. And then a couple other hikes here. We have another, the Mosier Plateau Trail is located on a nature preserve in the Columbia Gorge. It's a few miles east of Hood River. And this hike or this plateau is just absolutely full of yellow balsam root flowers. It's a moderate hike. But it just is gorgeous views of the gorge. We have Cape Disappointment over here on the other side. This is kind of unique because this is the coastal view that William Clark saw when he first saw the Pacific Ocean. Little fun tidbit there. And this one is more so easy. This one is like a family friendly and welcome for everybody here. Day hikes a little bit further. So if you want a longer day, but you want to go see really cool things, we have Scout Camp Trail, which is definitely a desert ecosystem that's located outside of Terrebonne, which is where Smith Rock State Park is. And it features this river and canyon views and is just beautiful sky. It just looks gorgeous, and I'm going to do that this here in a few weekends. The Painted Hills is a natural area in Eastern Oregon. Features lots of multicolored hillsides, fossil-rich areas. It's a really cool place to bring kiddos. This is also ADA accessible for folks who use wheelchairs as well, and is probably the longest day hike away from Portland, which is about 4 hours.
Cool. So now I'm going to get into some different overnight hikes if you want to do like a one or multi-night backpacking trip. Again, PSU rental space has a lot of gear that you could use for that. It definitely takes a little more like prepping and planning to do that, like making sure you have the right amount of food, and I'd recommend bringing like more gear and like a first aid kit and things like that, just because you'll be out like further away from roads in the front country for a longer period of time. Depending on how far you go, and there's definitely some ways you could just go in like a mile and set up camp and do it that way. So some in the Mount Hood area, one is Badger Creek. That's like 2.5 hours from PDX. The trail is like 23 miles round trip, but you definitely don't have to do all of that. You can, again, just go in a few miles and come back out. And over those 23 miles, it's like 2,400 feet elevation gain. So it seems like it'd be a pretty gradual trail with that. Like that's a pretty small amount for that amount of miles. The Salmon River Trail is one of my favorite trails. It's just like an hour and 15 minutes from Portland near Welch's. I've done a lot of day hikes there, but there's definitely like some great looking campsites along the trail. It goes along this like really beautiful lush river and kind of wraps up into this valley with like a lot of great viewpoints. Some other Mount Hood trails, Burnt Lake is a really fun one, especially as it gets warmer outside. It's the trailhead is just an hour and 15 minutes from Portland. It's 6.6 miles round trip, so it's like a 3-mile hike in with like 1,400 feet elevation gain. But you can camp at this really awesome lake that is very swimmable. And then a bigger, like more challenging one in the Mount Hood area that folks like to do is the Timberline Trail. It goes all the way around the perimeter of Mount Hood and is like pretty challenging. There's like over the course of the 38 miles, there's like 9,000 feet of elevation gain. So it's like a lot of up and down, which can be hard on the knees. Definitely need some trekking poles for that one. In Eastern Oregon, there's the Lower Deschutes Trail. So it'd be kind of like along the Deschutes River, the lower section. They say to beware of ticks and snakes, so just a thing to look out for, but not a reason to not do it. There's like 400 feet elevation gain, so it would be a pretty flat trail. And again, it's like pretty long, but you could go out and back for as long as you want to. And then another one, the Taconich Creek Trail, or Taconich Creek, is like an area kind of off the coast where there's a bunch of sand dunes, and I guess you can like I couldn't find any like specific trails. There's like some smaller loops, but it sounds like you can go backpacking like within the dunes. So you can kind of like hike through the dunes and along the coast and just explore that area. That would be a really cool experience. In Washington, Mount St. Helens has a like wide array of different hikes and places you can go. Some of the bigger ones is the Goat Rocks Wilderness area. That's supposed to be super beautiful. I'm hoping to do that this summer. I've hiked the Green River Trail, and that was pretty moderate. There's like a bunch of lakes you can stop at and lots of like really awesome views. Margaret area is supposed to be really great, and the Lewitt Trail is another trail that goes around Mount St. Helens. A lot of folks in the summer will also like summit Mount St. Helens. It's more doable in the summer. I think you need permits to do that as well though. And in the Mount St. Helens area, you need the Northwest Forest Service Pass. for camping in most of those. I think there's a visitor center too. So with a lot of these places, like the bigger ones, if you pop into the visitor center and like let them know what you're looking to do, folks are usually super helpful about like helping you find a good hike and getting you set up with permits and stuff for that. Mount Rainier is a little further, but there's lots of really great hiking around there. They do have the Wonderland Trail, the other one that goes around it. And it's a national park, so you need a national parks pass or to pay the entrance fee, which was like $30. There might be some national service, like National Forest Service area outside of that with some good hiking as well if you don't want to pay for that pass. And then Mount Adams also has like lots of incredible trails around it. One I've done is like up to the high camp, which is kind of just like kind of on the side of Mount Adams area of the mountain, and you can see a lot from there. It's super beautiful. But there's a lot more to be explored. Some further ones that would be good for overnight hikes. There's a lot in Central Oregon in the Bend area. Some popular ones are the Green Lakes area. That's like 8.4 miles round trip, so about 4 miles in, and there's like a bunch of beautiful lakes and really great camping. It's really popular, so I'd recommend doing it on a weekday if you have the capacity to. Broken Top is another great one. Again, 13.2 miles round trip. That one's a little trickier. This lake up here is called No Name Lake, and it's kind of iconic in the area. Moraine Lake is kind of on the way to South Sister Summit outside the Bend area. A lot of folks will like climb that mountain, but this is a cool lake that you can camp at kind of on your way up there, or if you just want to camp there. It's a really sweet spot. You could then do like a day hike and climb South Sister from there, or just explore the area. And this lake is also swimmable. And then the Rogue River Trail, it's another like really long one that you don't have to do all of, but you could go for up to 40 miles round trip on it. And there's about 2,000 feet of elevation gain. So again, like pretty flat and along the Rogue River, which is down in like Central Oregon. In Washington, there's a lot. Some kind of the big ones are the Olympic Peninsula. Two big trails up there, the Hoh River Trail or Enchanted Valley. The Hoh River Rainforest is like really incredible, and this valley hike is really cool. You can like camp in the valley and do like a day hike up to like a pass where you can see a glacier. Alpine Lakes, a big one is the Enchantments. Those you do need to like enter in the lottery to get permits for. And so that happens usually like in March each year. So if it's something you want to do, but if you want to day hike it, it's about 20 miles. It's a pretty hefty hike. I've done it. I started at 6 and ended at 8 p.m. Like you're climbing a huge pass, but it is super incredible. And it's kind of nice to do it without like an overnight pack because you have like a lot less gear to carry. But there's a lot of mountain goats and lots of lakes, and it's really spectacular. And then the North Cascades is a national park, but you don't have to pay a fee to get in there. And there's just one road that goes through. Like most of it is like pretty well preserved for wildlife. This lake down here is like Diablo, and there's places where you can like canoe into camp, but there's a bunch of like backpacking within that area. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Some of the big like hikes in that area that are popular would be like Heather Maple Loop or Sourdough Mountain, Hidden Lake, Cascade Pass Trail, or Thornton Lakes. Are all some good places to start.
So one of the best parts about spring hiking is getting to see all of the wildflowers. So April, this is the perfect month to go see all of the wildflowers that are just bursting in our area at the moment. Some big ones for Dog Mountain. They got balsam root, which is also very popular in the Mosier Plateau Trail as well. Ball head cluster lily, which is also very popular in the Dog Mountain area. Bitterroot at the Scout Camp Trail, that's definitely a more of a desert flower. Indian paintbrush is coastal, pretty coastal, and that's usually it's bright red and you can see it on the sides of the slopes. And gold thread is another more desert terrain flower, which is the gold thread in Scout Camp Trail.
And there's also a presentation we've put together with like flower and plant identification, so you can check that out if you want to learn about some more.
Definitely.
And finally, we just want to put in a recommendation to leave no trace while on the trail. So the 7 principles of that are to like plan ahead, to stay on the trail, to like, if you're kind of dispose of all waste, if you're like backpacking and things like that, by like burying your poop and packing out all your stuff, to not pick plants or things like that, take pictures instead, to like be mindful of fires if they're like allowed in certain spaces and make sure you completely put it out, if you're using one in a space where it's permissible, and when collecting firewood, like dead down, detached, and dinky are kind of the things we go for that. So like not breaking apart trees or branches or things like that that are alive. If everyone is doing that, the forest would be pretty like, yeah, destroyed. The sixth one is oh, be kind to wildlife. So like don't feed them, don't go too close to them, like let them do their thing. And the seventh one is just to be friendly to folks on the trail. And a way to do that right now during COVID is like some things that are COVID, like pertain to COVID stuff, is like practicing physical distancing, like wearing a mask, like planning ahead, checking out the trails to make sure that they're open. The forest fires definitely are going to play a role in that this summer too. Like a lot of trails are closed because of the fires we had last summer. So yeah, checking that out so you don't drive somewhere. Trying to stay close to home right now. I know it's exciting to get out and explore places, especially as we're kind of, yeah, nearing, things are like feeling a little better. But yeah, the more you can stay close to home, the more likely we can keep people safe. Yeah, and then I linked in this are a couple other websites that kind of have some recommendations. Like maybe run through them quickly. Let me get out of the full screen here. So this is like the Take Care Out There Oregon. Yeah, we just like want to be mindful of maybe not going to places that are super busy, or like going at times where they'd be really busy. Like doing something that you know you can complete well, using hand sanitizer. Some like facilities might be closed, like bathrooms and stuff like that, like we were talking about. So being prepared for that. Yeah, most of those things. And then this also, Leave No Trace has also put out like a website about recommendations for COVID. So scrolling through their site a little bit and kind of seeing what's going on. This was updated like last year though, so things have kind of changed and shifted a bit since then, I think. So yeah, that's all we've got for you on some spring hikes. I hope you guys can use this and find some cool places to get out and enjoy the beautiful weather we've been having. And yeah.
Absolutely. Go enjoy some wildflowers.